if anyone's wondering why Marni is wearing suddenly different clothes, it's because we had some we had some difficulties yesterday with the connection, so we decided to carry on the next day with the recording. So we're just gonna carry on where we left off yesterday. Roughly a month and a half, 2 months ago, I was going through some turmoil, and I basically had two options, right? One was to stay stuck in this victimhood mentality, blaming others for whatever happened, right? Which never was actually an option for me, because I could do better than that. And the other option was to have a really proper look at myself and at the reasons why I acted in certain ways. So at that time, suddenly Gabor Mate just again popped up somewhere on my Facebook and his new documentary, and I started listening to him again. I listened to him in the past, but I haven't for like a year or two. And that helped me a lot because through his compassionate inquiry, I was starting to look at what I was doing and my behavior, and starting to figure out, right, the way the reason why you're so closed off is you got me into trouble in the first place, and me being so quiet and all the things, and the reason why when things went a bit not a good and not the right way, and I ended up just not being able to speak, when things were off. That was because when I was a kid, I was basically getting this message from my family to some extent, and mainly at school, probably, was that I was getting a message that me expressing myself, me talking or doing certain things was not safe for me. Because when I was a kid, I would say something at school and people would just, either laugh at me or bully me and that kind of stuff. So I started figuring these things out. And so basically my question to you is, let's say someone's going through something similar as I am. What would your advice be, and where does the singing and breathwork come into place?
Oh, that's good. Okay, so question. If I was talking to somebody who was like you, so an adult who had the memories of being bullied and kind of getting stuck in some of the behavior that they learned, where they were safe and where they weren't safe. So like what would I speak to their adult self or their kid self?
I guess let's start from the adult perspective and see how that goes.
Yeah. Okay. That's good because I think all of us can, most of us can relate to having discomfort, whether we've been bullied as a kid or not seen or not heard. I mean, let's be honest, even the coolest of the cool and the people who seem to like flow through life, there's some naysayer, there's some negative persona that they are trying to live up to or trying to be seen by. We all have a private audience. I call it a private audience. We all either, it's like this third party that is as if we were a movie and they were watching us. It's who we talk to. Some of us, it's our mom and our dad, are the good angel and the bad angel, or it's God or Jesus or the bully. It's like, who are we performing for? And mine's really embarrassing who I perform for. I tend to perform for people who've given me a hard time in the world, whether they're a bully or not. Like, look at me now, see me now. So, speaking to someone who can relate to being bullied as a kid, as an adult, when we are that kid, we were probably performing or trying to please them in the hopes of not being bullied again. Excuse me. Can I get down the hall without them saying something to me? So when we go into our dreamscape and our dream places in life, when we're on our bed or we're daydreaming in class and we're doodling, a lot of us are constructing a world where those bullies are accepting us or we're saving them or they're responding to us favorably so we can feel seen and heard and understood. So that's a long-winded way of saying someone who's been bullied, they've been bullied too. And to recognize, there's so many things, to recognize that that tenderness that you feel in your heart that has created whatever your symptom is. In your specific case, it is feeling not safe to use your voice, is we have to remind ourselves that we're not there anymore. We have to remind ourselves that we overcame, that we persevered, that we are in the place in life where we can start to recognize and appreciate our skills and our talents and what we contribute to the world. And we have to feed those roots in us. We have to feed those seeds in us that as a 20-something, 30-something, 50-something, that, Maura Burns, who totally intimidated me, I'm just assuming, I always level her out. I always assume she's probably struggling just as much as I am, and she's probably experiencing success just as much as I am. I kind of I would tell a person who has really suffered through early childhood trauma or really, some difficulty interacting with peers, to remind themselves that we are just two blades of grass. We're just two trees. We're just two birds. We're just two people. And whatever is in them that can't see how beautiful I am, that's sad. I'm not sad. That's sad for them. They don't get to see how fabulous I am. They don't recognize that I'm just another blade of grass. So whatever happened to them is really a part of why they don't behave so well and use anger or tactics like bullying or oppressive. It's because it's something that they felt. At the end of the day, let me say this. I truly believe it's much more complicated than this, but on a surface level, however somebody treats you is the way that they have been treated, and they want you to know what it feels like. That's the really shifty part of it. If they have felt oppressed or sad, they want you. They bully you because they want you to know what they have felt like. And if you can see it through those eyes, through that lens, suddenly you're like, why are you what happened to you that you're so sad that you want me to feel your sadness? Because I don't want to feel sad, and you don't have any right to my joy. You don't have any right to my joy. So I feel bad for you that you need to status yourself, that you need to try to stuff me down so you can put your bully self on top of me. You don't have that permission to do that. And I would, to a kid, because I know this is rampant. I know this is everywhere. I know every kid has experienced something that feels like bullying or being what I call an other. There's something other than them, is to kind of hold space for themselves. And a simple image. I'm just something from God or nature. Nature's the same thing to me, and so are you. You can't exist without me. I can't exist without you. And you don't have to understand that. But I do. I know that you don't understand it, or you wouldn't have treated me this way. And I wish we could really breathe through that. I don't want to run over you, but you asked a second question, and is how do I bring the breathing and the voice into that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Just like I said in the other outfit, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will last a lifetime. When we get in the sound, the vibration of ugly, of hate, of oppression, of disdain, of shaming, we do remember it. It's not like we forget it. I just brought up Maura Burns. That was 5th grade. I've been out of college for 25 years, and I just remembered 5th grade. And those words are persistent. They're always there. It's what you were talking about. You didn't feel safe. It's a feeling. It's a feeling. What's showing up in you is the body saying, I shouldn't speak. I shouldn't do that. So as where I sit when I have my teacher hat on and I'm teaching breath is I want us to neutralize and move through the felt part. You felt like you shouldn't talk. So it's the body telling you not to talk. So let's work in the body right now through sound, through let me speak, through vibration by saying, I'm okay with what Maura Burns said with me. I'm okay. I'm here now. And I dance to it. I sing to it. I love it. Most importantly, I love it. I am loving myself saying right now, my ego is saying, oh, two blades of grass is really nice. We're like balanced, yet it's accurate. And if I dance to being a blade of grass and I'm dancing with more the memory, the ghost of Maura Burns, saying, wow, have you learned something since then? There's a place for deep forgiveness on my part. And I'm hoping I'm kind of going through this parallel world, this dimensional world where maybe she can feel my forgiveness too. The voice, the voicing, putting a voice to a moment, but not because you want to act the part, but giving the voice so you hear it as vibration, as cleansing, as neutralizing, as expressive, meaning express out of your body. I know this is really a lot to take in, but it's a sigh. It's no different than your body going, ah, I have to do what? Ah, oh shit, here it is again. But it's the thought leaving the body so it can perform an action. So let me ask you, when you're doing one of your big tricks and you're going to do, an upside down inverted press and you're going to do a split or something, you physically prepare the body for what it has to hold, right? Yeah. No different with the spirit, no different with the personality. So when I'm feeling unsafe, I can't share myself, I can't talk, I can't make that phone call, whatever it is. I'm pretending I'm you, sort of, actually, or people like this. That includes me. That includes me. I am internally saying, Maura Burns is not here right now. It's her ghost. And I'm going to breathe it through my body to create space and possibility. And I tell you, this skill, when practiced, is highly effective. Highly effective. How to get good at this skill is breath work. How to get good at flipping the switch is literally dusting the body in something we call breath work, which has multiple applications. It is so beneficial, but on the simplest terms, I'm expanding the cell body. I'm expanding the electricity in the body. I am charging myself up. No story attached, story not necessary. But if I put a story into it, saying I have an intention, meaning I have what is an intention? But a wish, a story. What are you wishing for? Well, you let me invite you into your own conversation. You would like to manifest. You're wanting something.
Yeah.
You're charging it so it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a breath. That's breath with intention. It's not so. Think about it. Make this work. Sorry, little message.
Nice.
You're taking in a breath.
Mm-hmm.
You're adding intention. And in this particular case, I'm just saying, I want to be okay with what it is I'm about to say. And I want to be okay knowing that I'm going to be safe after I say it, even if it's provocative or mean. Well, I hope you don't say anything mean, but really edgy, because it's the right thing for me to do, for me to feel empowered. Okay. And it's a muscle. Just like we massage the outside of the body, we're massaging the inside of the body, creating tone, elasticity, flexibility, and range of motion. They're identical. There's no variation. There's no difference. What's happening inside the body on a spiritual level and a smaller, the smaller fabric, the smaller muscles, and the bigger muscles are all built around core, alignment, structure, stability, flexibility, tenacity. It's all the same. That's your personality. That's what we're trying to massage in the personality. And the way we get there is through the breath and expressing the old crap out. Well, what do you do after you work out? What's your routine?
Depends. Well, I usually do my strength training, which I finish off with the trifecta, which is like a combination of strength and flexibility, mobility work. Usually I put some stretching exercise as well at the very end, and afterwards get some food, shower, relax, get some work done, maybe do some breath work, like the Wim Hof method.
Mm-hmm. You do that after you work out?
What do you mean?
So you do the Wim Hof after the exercise?
Not necessarily. I usually start my day with it, at
Okay.
least a few rounds, and then throughout the day, depends, either in the evening or a few times throughout the day, depends.
All right. So you do the breath work because it changes it changes some of the mindset, some of the state of mind, not the mindset, but the state of mind. It gives you a good feeling, right? You feel prepared.
Definitely. Yeah.
So do you ever put an intention into that breath work?
Not necessarily. Obviously, I go with going to the exercise. I mean, breath work is. I guess I do have an intention
Yeah.
to feel better.
Right.
To do something for my health. Because especially the Wim Hof method, I found it super effective.
It is.
Like I've done Qigong, and some other breathwork types, Taoist breathing in the past, but this one just stands out so much.
Yeah. Well, it really changes the chemistry of the mind. So if you're in that state and you aren't caring about more burns in that state.
Yeah.
So think about why. Why can we repattern the body during breath work and after the breath work? Because we recognize what is truth and what is not truth. Nothing has changed in you specifically. It's just the frontal lobe isn't as active. But the memories persist. They're still there. So not that you should try it, but if you would try it, you could have an intention of talking to some of the struggles, those kids back in elementary school or primary school, whatever you call it, and say, okay, this breath work, I have an intention. I can't control the outcome, but I'm going to see if I can neutralize my feelings about it and see if the thoughts show up during some of those breath holds, or in some of, like in round 3 or round 4, depending on how many rounds of Wim Hof you do. So I don't recommend this for everybody, and I certainly don't recommend it to do it all the time. But if you want to see, wow, how an opinion can change on a dime or with a breath, the relationship to story, to old story, has a different weight when we are in a Wim Hof sympathetic response, meaning the body is activated. It's in freak out, but your mind overrides it, knowing that you're safe. It knows the truth. I'm not being chased by a bear. I'm just doing breath work. Well, that is the experience that you learned In primary school, if you say something, you could get laughed at, that it's not safe. You are not there anymore. Now you begin to hold that stress, saying, I'm not there anymore. I'm fine. My body is a little charged up, saying, I'm scared to talk, but your mind can override it. So play with that during breath work so you can see how you feel. Where does the balance happen when you are having a massive carbon dioxide blow off? You're not getting the good air to your brain. It repatterns the brain. And the more you do it, the more you get those new pathological, let's not call them pathological, those pathways. They could be pathological. Can you imagine? You probably could use this work for the good and for the bad. Don't do that. But I feel that's what changed my life. I spent years being an inquisitor and a seeker, years seeking and being pretty limited to what I was comfortable with, like the philosophies that came my way. I mean, I would love anything science-y and anything, fantastical. But I'd be the first person going, yeah, but it's probably not true. Kept me safe. That kept me safe. But the more I started to do the body work, so, I mean, I always was a dancer. So like you, always moving, always athletic. There just was no intention to do anything other than look good. There was no intention other than to be strong so I could fantasize that I was the Xena warrior princess. But I wasn't doing the work. It showed up all the time, but I wasn't really going there until I really did. I guess some of it was the yoga, but most of it was breath work. That's where it wasn't hypothesis. And breath work is where I really saw how I functioned. Where was I getting nervous in the breath cycle? Where was I wanting to get out of the breath cycle? How was I behaving when I had to start a breath session? Where was I getting bored? That is where the nuance showed up, where it wasn't theory or theoretical. It was my reality. Doing breath work in a year program every single day was tedious at best. Tedious. And my only job through my teacher was to show up. I didn't have to participate. My practice was my practice. But through that progression of breath after breath after breath, trying to analyze, why was I frustrated? Why was I bored? Why was I heightened? Why was I thinking about Maura Burns? Why was I thinking about my father? Eventually, I started noticing these patterns in me. And it was in the breath work that I could insert new ideas into the patterns and create muscles, create a muscle in this breath loop. And I will tell you, because I'm so passionate about it, I have people telling me now all of the time. That was pompous. A lot. Not all of the time, but often. You were awkward. You were an uncomfortable child. You have a speech impediment. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I haven't overcome my speech impediment, but I can stay calm that it doesn't show up that often. Okay, it shows up a lot, but I'm a good actress and I can pretend. I can pretend I meant that. I made up that word. Isn't that cool? But I stay calm most of the time. And even when I'm excited, and it's not excitement, but it's agitation, meaning I'm activated and I'm heightened. Now it's just one breath. Now it's just one breath. Now I can control it quickly. Snap out of it. So it's good for anybody. This attention to detail, but not stuck in the mindset, in the soma, the body, the skin, the energy body, the aura, all of the levels of fields of the body. When you start to listen to that language, which doesn't sound like English or whatever your native tongue is, You feel like you feel like you're a blade of grass just blowing in the wind. It's great. It's so good. Oh, jump in here.
Nice. Super interesting. So now back to the singing as well, because that's a bit of an interesting coincidence. Probably not really, but because one way for me how I did actually manage to express myself was through music, which I forgot to mention before. Yeah. So when I was 17, I picked up the guitar, and in like 2019, I got back to it because I had long breaks in between. And I started practicing and started writing music, learned some musical theory. And I found out that, first of all, I was really enjoying it. Mm-hmm. And I found out that through that I can actually channel a lot that was within me. I did that to some extent also through my book, which took me like 2 years to write or so. But through music, it was a bit more, right? And I sometimes this thought comes to my mind, like obviously I play guitar, I write music for pretty much any instrument. I was thinking maybe learning to sing would kind of help me, to get my voice back or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of playing guitar and singing at the same time, which is totally like a separate issue. But I had this idea in my head. So do you think it's for people like me, it would help to learn to sing? And how would you approach it? Like learning the scales, or how would that work?
There's so many. Well, first of all, just do it. But first of all, singing has become an art of performance. It's one of the performing arts. That was never singing's intention. That was not by design. That's where we started to remove ourselves from having, I'm not getting into dogma and religion, but let's just pare it back. We used to sing in the tribe around the fire, and that's how we talked. Sorry, we sang before we talked. Babies babble before they know words. They make sounds. The sounds have intention behind them. This is how they learn to communicate. So we did this all the way from the very first man. It wasn't until way later that we would heighten or elevate somebody to perform for us, so we didn't have to do the work, but we could enjoy the majesty of someone who had something that sounded good. And now it's an industry. So singing is your right. Singing is part of your destiny. Singing is part of what makes you function. Singing, unlike talking, has more vibration. So again, if all of this, the breath work, it's why the breath work works, is we are trying to create an opportunity for the old stuff to express itself through the body. That the old cell structure pops, dies, new cell structures occur and reemerge, or little grouping of cells move. Singing is like a fine-tooth comb coming through the body, combing out the nerve endings, vibrating everything, and bringing it into, what am I going to say? Into harmony. Coherence, musical terms. The enharmonics of having different parts of your body vibrate, connect together. So run, don't walk, fa la 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 la. Let's do it. And if you sing a song that somebody else wrote, it gives you an incredible space to use the ideas, the thoughts, the poetry of somebody who's writing about love or loss or something that's really human, because we're always writing, country songs, we're always writing about human experience. They're relatable. So when you're singing it, you begin to relate to the lyrics. The music usually corresponds with the lyrics and the notes on the page, that it brings you to a sense of release. So it's very therapeutic to sing other people's music and just have an opinion. Because when you're singing, if you're really paying attention to the words as you're singing them, you're trying to connect. This is what good performers do. They're conveying the story, they're sharing themselves. So they're channeling the author's music with an interpretation. The interpretation that the artist brings to the song comes through their known felt experience. This is what sadness feels like. This is what the girl who got away feels like. It becomes very cathartic for both the singer and the audience because these are shared experiences that everybody has an idea about, but doesn't belong to any of them.
Mhm.
It's kind of co-created in the moment. So when you're acting or you're singing or you're dancing and someone's watching, you're co-creating the moment. Or otherwise, it's like, did the tree fall down in the woods? That old saying. Did it happen? It needs a witness. So whether you're singing for yourself, not needing a witness, but you play the part of the witness, your body expresses old cell life. Shake, shake, shake. Literally vibrational. Literally reorganizing thoughts, literally going, oh my God, why did I hate her now? You're talking about your own girlfriend, not the girl you're singing about in the song that you didn't write. There's these aha moments. So music affects, I mean, there's so many other things we can get in deep, deep philosophical and, theoretical conversations about the math of music. Music is considered to be, it is mathematical, but it's the one thing that most societies, most cultures in the world identify with the same structure. We kind of hear it the same.
Yeah,
So
that's why I like music more than, for example, poetry, because you don't have to understand the language, but you still understand what the song is about, the feeling of
right,
the notes and everything.
right. It's definitely, here's a stretch. But when you're singing a song or you're listening to a song, you know what the person who's singing it is talking about
Mhm.
on a felt sense level, not just the auditory words, but the sound of the vibration. I will tell you this, and this is what I think is really transformative, is when you are singing or from a space, um, I like to say from from different chakras, different developmental places in the body. It's like that saying, oh God, she sings from the soul. Oh, she sings from the gut. Oh my God, she ripped my heart out. These are felt sense areas in the body. I know what she was thinking. Oh my gosh, that was wrenching. Wrenching is right here. So you, as a singer, when we're singing for ourselves to feel good or feel bad so we can get over it, we do that too. We sing songs that are sad to us so we can cry, so we can be like, I'm singing to, I'm thinking of this old folk song, but I'm really thinking about, the guy I like now, but it still helps me. It supports me. But if I put the sound in my belly button down, belly to pelvis, or, basically the pubic bone, the sphincter bone, the root chakra, the end of the tailbone, and I open up my breath and I put my thoughts, not words, just my felt sense in my lower half, and I make a sound, I know that's my root singing. It has a different sound than if I put it in my heart. It has same note, has a different sound. If I was thinking about the words and only thinking of the words, it would be in my head. It doesn't have as much resonance or vibration. But if I want this really to hit you, Elvis, and I'm singing a song that is really tuned to love or despair, love and despair, that is going to be in my heart and my solar plexus and in my pelvis. And I'm going to just keep thinking through those three areas of my body, those chambers. It's the difference of playing a cello or an upright bass. Same notes, different sound. I make my body do that, and I can teach you how to do that. So if you really want a message to get across, knowing that your audience may not understand the words that you say, they will feel it, just like a bully, where you want them to feel it so they can feel what you're feeling. Sound vibration all works the same. That energy exchange. I want to say that again because it is so accurate.
No.
A mean person makes you feel bad so you can feel what it felt like to be them.
Mm-hmm.
When you sing from your gut, they feel you. When you're really singing from the gut, you're not conceptually singing from the gut, but think of old Hebrew music, really old church music, really old native indigenous people music.
Both singing, right?
Mm-hmm. You feel it too because they want you to feel what they're feeling. They gift you the vibration. The vibration, like musical notes, are universal. And that's why they heal. They're universal. They're not opinions. They're universally understood. It's neat. And it always works. It always works. So to that little goofball in 4th grade who feels bullied, if they knew this information and they would say one day, and they could say, had enough nerve to say, stop it. Where did you feel that in your body? Stop it.
A bit lower.
It's a lot lower.
Yeah.
And what if I said, stop it?
More like somewhere on the neck, maybe.
Strangled. Yeah. In the neck,
Yeah.
in the throat. The energy got trapped. But I said that in my solar plexus and my, I mean, again, for people who don't speak chakra, who don't speak energy body, it's from where literally my stomach and my guts, my upper GI, my lower GI, my gastric intestines.
The second brain,
The
basically.
second brain saying, I'm serious. Stop it. So my stomach blows up. Literally, my stomach is away from my body, away from my spine. And then I, like an ujjayi breath, stop it. I don't need any more energy. I'm so charged up and I'm so solid. I try to teach all my kids this that I work with, and most of them won't. They won't, but it's in there. It's being planted. The seed is being planted. So for those honest, because I mean, all my kids, most of my students feel bullied because they're all struggling. That's who my clientele is. What I say is, let's put pebbles in your pockets of love. Let's put hearts in your pockets of love. So instead of putting my heart right here by my chest, I put their heart by their hips. Little hearts, little flowers, little stones, little pictures, little affirmations, whatever it takes. And I say, let your hips walk down the hall. Placed on a smile. This is fake, but you want to feel this way, and feel your hips as you walk down the aisle. Know that your legs will carry you. Your legs will carry you through. Oh, that just showed up on my heart right now. Just so you know, it made me very, as I say in Yiddish, verklempt, because there's such a truth to it.
Mm-hmm.
My kids I can't talk them through without doing the body work. I can't say, pretend the bully isn't there, because they are.
Mm-hmm.
And those words are profound, and those feelings that they're feeling are profound. Because when the bullies are mean, the message was received by my students. What I say is to carry on. Let's put those loves right by the hip, right by, the lower chakras, the safety. And let's tell your heart it's going to be okay. Show them that you're okay. I mean, if you have the guts to say, hey, stop it. You're annoying. Great. But most of them aren't going to choose that yet. They do it to their parents first. Yeah. Kids have actually a lot more success telling off their parents because they know really at the end of the day, most of them are safe and that they're loved, even if they're annoyed.
Mhm.
Not all, obviously.
Yeah,
Obviously.
depends on parents, really.
Yeah. But there's more of the kids have more feel like we said yesterday, most of these kids aren't getting actually abused. They're getting neglected, which feels like abuse. So it's abusive. It's abusive behavior if you're being neglected because someone's withholding from you. But uh, I don't know. I find most of my students tend to be okay telling their parents they're jerks. So they find their voice with the person who matters. Really, in the end of the day, if you can find love for your parents and find appreciation for them, even if they annoy you and they suck, you're probably in a better place in your life than if your parents were so super amazing, but you're bullied and you crumbled. I don't know. Everybody's different.
Sure.
I shouldn't talk to that. So I want everyone to sing more and dance more and express more. Literally, squeeze the juice out of the orange. Get the egg yolk out of the egg. Anything you can think of. Fill up a washcloth and squeeze the water out. That's what you want to do to your body. That's what breath work does.
Mhm.
That's what singing does. We're doing that. We're trying to get emotion and old stuck stuff out. And water doesn't do it. It helps. Water helps flush it out, but it doesn't create the process, the energetic process. We need to do more than drink water. That too.
Yeah, definitely. Hmm.
So maybe I should ask you a question, because if you can understand what I'm saying or express something out of this, what can you take away from some of the things that I said for you?
I think the part about the breath work and the intention behind it, something I definitely need to try out. And we'll see about the singing because at this point, trying to sing or do something with it, or even dance, for example, it's just so alien to me that I just don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be a bit more difficult.
Hum.
Not possible, but
Hum. Mm-hmm. When you're writing a song, hum the melody along. So just doing a scale. Right there. There you are. There you are.
nice.
Singing's easy. Singing like a professional singer is hard. Singing is easy. It's your right. It's not a privilege. Nobody has to hear you.
I got some people around me, so they would hear me.
So hum. So they won't.
But there's lots of points around where I can go. No one's going to hear me there.
There is nothing more glorious. Okay, there's some things that are more glorious, but it's one of the most glorious things that I do. I will pretend to be walking my dog, because sometimes I take my dog and sometimes I don't. But I will just go into my neighborhood when it's dark out with my headset on, and I will just sing, walking down the street. Sometimes I pass somebody with their dog. I mean, I'm trying to look out for them. But yeah, last night I was singing from The Wiz, Home. It's called a song called Home. I mean, this is like a belty up in the rafters pop song, musical theater, but a pop song musical theater. And I'm like, wow, I sound so good, because I can't hear myself. But it was the vibration of feeling the wind and the crisp air, because it's fall here in America, and singing. And it's dark, so I can't see anybody except, if they got close. And I'm like, you know what? Let them hear me. let them hear me. I can only imagine what it must sound like because they're not hearing the music. I had headsets on. And it was so flippin' freeing. It felt so good. I was so charged. Just go to the woods and sing. It's like church in the best way. Not dogma, just nature. Nature's church. Salvation. Sanctuary. Sanctuary.
Yeah, definitely. So much for me to think about from just talking to you.
In short, I'm saying allow for more. And always think of your feet and your hands and how they feel. The rest will fill itself in over time.
Right.
Close your eyes, feel the wall. Where are you perceptually? How much energy can you feel when you're doing Qigong and the hands are shaped this way or when the hands are shaped this way? Don't analyze it, just feel it. Let the body start telling you what it's been telling you the whole time. It's more than discomfort. It has a completely different experience. And it's something other than. It's something out of the world. It is something that we strive for in meditation, but you don't need meditation to get there. You need openness. You need freedom. You need to put the words away for a while, let them flow in as waves of thought and say, move them along. And let me come back to this place of expansiveness. Feel my hands, feel my feet, feel my breath. Feel my hands, feel my feet, feel my breath. And just feel the body move and stay there. You stay there for a few minutes. You have a new vision of what your body was designed to do. And then humming in breath is fantastical. So you Wim Hof, and you're done with that very last breath hold. And then you take an air through the nose and you do that 20 seconds of a breath hold on a full lung. And you're to 20 seconds. You will feel that through your entire body. And I will tell you, your world will change right there.
I can imagine that.
Yep. When you are blown cellularly that wide open, that every pathway is open and cleared, and you are tuned to love, meaning you are clear channeled, you are vibrationally aligned, and you add a sound on the inside from a high note and descend all the way down, and you let go, everything vibrates. Everything vibrates. I have some bad news. I have this headset in, and my phone is going to lose battery very soon.
Right.
So what are your 3 questions?
Yeah, I guess that's finished then. So the first one, if there was one piece of advice you could give to people, a fairly short one, what would it be?
Breathe more. Notice your breath more and don't answer the question. Don't analyze it. Just really notice it. Really don't have any wishes. As many times of a day. I have 2 pieces of advice. Don't breathe more, and then don't respond to people who piss you off right away. Breathe before you respond. Breathe before you respond.
Yeah, that's a good advice. Okay, second question. What does femininity mean to you?
Femininity?
Yeah, the divine feminine. What does it mean to you?
The divine feminine. Oh, I think of her as wisdom. I think of her as acceptance. I think of her as the yin and the yang of, real supple and sensual. And I mean truly sensual. Back to the fingers, back to the feet. Trusting more than my senses of my eyes and my ears, but my feelings, my felt sense, vibrational wisdom. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, me too. Okay, last question. Easiest. What do you think is the meaning or purpose of life in general?
I answered that in my class today. to recognize that I'm no more important than a blade of grass, to experience life for the unity of everything, to become clear, to simplify, to stay in a state of awe and awe. Not that I can have all of these earthly feelings, I have those too. But the meaning of life is to recognize that I share this planet with everything. That to me is, elevating my understanding of everything, and also de-escalating my ego, not to abolish my ego. I can't do that or I'd be dead, but to recognize that I am in unity here, to love my fellow man, to love my fellow blade of grass, and that I can't live without them and they can't live without me. So we're meant here to tune to love. That's the meaning of life, to learn not in love, but to learn this clarity, this acceptance, this appreciation. I said to my class today, do you think a tree really, really thinks about you? Do you think a tree really has words? It has its own language. But a tree does everything that we do, and we do everything that a tree does. We breathe, we exhale, we grow, we have cycles. We are divinely connected. And I really have an appreciation for this life that I got to be a human so I could think about it and not to overthink about it. I can't help it, but I'm going to try.
Yeah. Okay, where can people find you?
You can find me in America at www.universalspace. So UNIVERSOULSPACE. One word, Universal Space, or my name, Marni Ratner. I'll come up. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I teach. I teach online every day. I coach breath and voice, but I also do a lot of spiritual coaching, a lot. I am an intuitive. I don't advertise that, but I can usually get into deep story with people. And then the breath and the voice, we have a new connection. So we can retell the story. So I know how to write stories like you, and I know how to edit stories like you or find better interpretations. So my clients are all highly developing and or other thought makers. So change makers, thought makers, real leaders is what I hope. That's what the world's asking for, is for all of us to shed our ego a little bit, shed our armor, and be more aware of the blades of grass. So we have them. So definitely I want people to find me and reach out to you too. Yeah. Obviously they already found you.
Definitely. As always, you'll be able to find every link in the description below to Marni, to my calisthenic sessions and my book. And yeah, it was absolutely amazing having you on the podcast. Like, I've learned so much from you over the last roughly 2 hours or so. Some of the things, you either changed my perspective on them, like the things with my dad. Then there was this moment, like, you okay?
Oh no, it was very humbling, because that's really what I feel like I'm here to do, is to rewrite the past, especially when it was only meant to be love.
Yeah, that's true. And he also gave me this aha moment with more, because you asked me, I guess it's going to be a separate episode in the first part of this interview. You asked me, but I'm afraid of this, like, dystopian societies and wars and that kind of stuff. And the two of the biggest fears that I ever had was a nuclear war and a totalitarian regime, like a dystopian society. And somehow it never occurred to me that it was not something that's going to happen in the future or something that's happening now, but it's because my parents lived through it for the first 30 years of their lives. I was like, how did I not figure this out?
And you're so deep and
Thank you.
mindful and thoughtful and intelligent, but we live in the center of our own universe all of the time. We all are the central character of our story, but we don't have the benefit of having somebody dissect our stories for us because we call it something else. We call it therapy, where we keep you as the center of the story. And I say, geez, people, you have 10 characters and 12 characters inside of your body. Now, you can come outside and look at yourself as all of those characters. I mean, I kind of teach through the lens of Shakespeare. Suddenly you're like, wait again, my parents have 12 characters too. Suddenly you recognize how they saw the world as a reader. You read books, you see the whole thing. You're not just paying attention to that one character. You're paying attention to the villain. And if it's a good writer, the villain has sympathy, right? The villain has a reason. The Joker is a sympathetic character in Batman. Iago, Othello, they all have humanity. So do our parents, and so do our bullies.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Amazing. And I'm sure at some point we're probably going to do another episode or something. I would love to have you on again.
I would
So,
love to do it.
thank you.
Let's do it. Oh, look, I'm
Yeah.
delayed. I can tell now. Look, my hands are just totally different than what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's time to stop
Anyways,
then.
I know it's going to die. Elvis, I say thank you very much. And to all your listeners, they're very lucky to get to know you.
Thank you.